today is really about me helping you to get some practical advice from someone who's been doing it for 30 years, I suppose. So effective communication using the psychology of persuasion to influence. And because this is being recorded and also graded for me as I'm upgrading my Train the Trainer course, that's why that competency is down the bottom. So firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Turrbal people, because I am in Brisbane and they are the traditional custodians of the land that I am on, and where, well, I meet today, but you'd have to acknowledge your local mob. And I pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today, and to the people whose land we're all on. I'm going to start with housekeeping. As I said, this is, well, I'm so pleased to be able to have this talk with you today and do this presentation today. I am getting graded on it, and it's part of my, I'm reviewing my Train the Trainer qualifications that I got in 2006. So some bits of it will relate to that, but mostly it's all good quality content. But I do ask that at the end, I'll put a survey link up, a short survey. If people could please fill in that survey. It's just like a, simple, you don't have to write anything. I would really appreciate it. I need at least 8. So that is part of my assessment. So I'll put that in at the end. So I have to say, as part of that, is that you should know, even though we're all at home, you should know your emergency exits. This is about 45 minutes long, including questions. There won't be any breaks. Take breaks as you need. I'm not going to stop for questions, so make note of any questions for the end. Mute your mic, which you have done. I have made a handout that I will add to this presentation. I'll either upload it or email it, or however it works later on. So you can take notes, but you'll also get a little summary handout. But most importantly, I would like to invite you to make the most of this 45 minutes. I know this stuff. I know this stuff inside out, and I've been using it I've been using it my whole career, but this particular concept I've used for 10 years. So really, this is for you to make the most of it and be present and participate as much as you can. So that's really on you, and I ask that, will stay with me. All right, overview. Nice overview of some city. So we're going to look at who Robert Cialdini is very briefly. What is the psychology of persuasion? Why is it important? And understanding the 7 dimensions or principles of persuasion. How to use these dimensions in your marketing and communications practice. And also how to recognize it in the world. So when I say how are you going to use it in your work, the first step will be for you to recognize it in your world. And once you see how it's used, it's like a key unlocking a lock, or, I call it like, the shutters have lifted off advertising. Like, you will see all of these tools used in for-profit companies, non-profits, all around you. So once you see where and how it's used, and, it's sort of like playing persuasion bingo, you'll be able to use it because you will see how that is used. All right, so this is a summary of the 7 dimensions. And I'm just going to read them, and then I'm going to go through it in detail. So there were 6, and when I bought the book, I don't know, 10 years ago, there were 6, but he's recently done an update, and now there are 7. So there's authority, and I'm going to go clockwise. Similarity, reciprocity, scarcity, consistency, consensus, and unity. And that's the ingredients of how to persuade people, how to influence people, how to make them automatically decide to do something. And I will go into them in detail. But, I didn't want to surprise you. I wanted you to see what they were. This is a graphic I got off the internet. There's tons of graphics, and honestly, it's just my favorite. Right. So into the meat of the presentation. Why, and I'm not going to do it in this order, but why are these concepts, these 7 dimensions or components of persuasion, influence, why are they so important? Look, people talk about this all the time, but it goes back to when we lived in caves. Now, I'm guessing we lived in caves. Everyone tells me we lived in caves. I don't know. Maybe we lived under treetops, but we are not the strongest animal. We're not the bravest necessarily, and we are certainly incredibly vulnerable as individuals living in the wild. And so the way that human beings survived is by connecting, making groups, creating communities, and working together. And there's a fantastic book called Sapiens by Yuval Harari, who talks about that human beings are the reason we're able to connect and make communities, and Malcolm Gladwell talks about this as well in a number of his works, is that we are able to share abstract ideas and agree and form a tribe or a group, even if we are not connected by blood. So whereas we have an obvious connection to our blood relatives, through these concepts and ideas and beliefs, we can form a community, and then together we can fight the lions and the bears, and we can, you know, build the temples, and we can create cars and make the internet and make schools and all sorts of things. And, you know, some of those ideas are about ethnicity, some of those ideas are about religion, some of those ideas are about the movies we like, but that is essentially human beings have survived and thrived and become so successful as a species because we are able to make communities. And if we're outside the community, if we are shunned, we could die. And being outside the tribe, even if it's not genuinely going to affect you, because obviously we all, you know, if somebody shuns us, it's not the same as being kicked out of a cave. We don't want to be outside the tribe. We want to be with the cool kids. We want to be with peers. We want to be accepted. These are core human needs. I am going to ask you, because I can't see it right now, but I'm just going to ask you to put in the chat box or to raise your hand if you can understand what I'm saying, and I'm going to ask the teacher if she can see that for me, because I can't see it. So if people can either write in the chat box or raise their hands if they can relate to the idea of being part of community and not want to be excluded. Yeah, great. I popped out of the sharing to see. Rushni, are you happy to do that for me? Be my voice while I share?
I'll do that.
That'd be great. Thank you. Because because of just the way the computer works, I can't see that as I go. That's fantastic. That's a really great help. Okay. So look, I saw a lot of hands up and I saw some comments there. That's great. So that's why this work is so important. So we all know that community is important. We want to be part of the tribe, whatever our tribe is, and we don't want to be thrown out of the tribe or we considered not cool or not part of the group, whatever that is, sports team, religion, school, class, you know, culture, whatever it is. So what this guy did, Dr. Robert Cialdini, he's actually a psychologist. He is still around. This book is from the 1980s, and the latest came out last year, the updated with the 7th unit. He's like a behavioral psychologist, and he did a ton of studies and observational studies to see to break down and understand what we do or what we can say that will automatically make people do or say something. So in our case, as marketers or communicators, it's like buy something or join something or get a subscription to somewhere, like, you know, So these dimensions are ways to bypass your logical brain and just go straight into your kind of emotional monkey mind or lizard brain. And that's why this work is so important, because he has distinguished for us. And once you see and understand these things, his work and his students' work distinguished for us these very specific tools that we can use, words and ways of explaining something that we can use that will just bypass someone's logic and go straight into their, you know, like, I don't know, automatic response. I'll give you an example. So I am really interested in the kind of health community, and I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm not on a lot of social media except for work, but I do watch a lot of YouTube, and I follow a lot of doctors and just, you know, content creators about the keto diet and the carnivore diet. Sorry, vegans. I was a vegan. I was a vegetarian. I'm not now. And I'm really interested in that diet. So I follow a lot of doctors and a lot of creators. And all of a sudden, they all started to talk about this product that they're taking called Element. Element is a powdered electrolyte, right? So basically, it's salt with a bit of potassium and magnesium. It's salt. You know, the pink salt, the Himalayan salt, it's the same. I know this logically. I know that all an electrolyte is salt. But all over the place, everywhere I see these people that I watch every day, and I really trust them. They're spruiking this Element in a packet, different flavors, and I've had to fight myself to stop buying this Element, because all of a sudden I want it, because I see all these people that I admire and respect and believe drinking this stuff and telling me how good it is. And that is an example of how you can influence someone or use these factors to influence someone to buy something or want something, even though logically I know it's just salt in a little packet. Can I just ask people to either put in the chat box or raise their hand if they have ever experienced that feeling of wanting to buy something or join something, even though logically they know it's probably not a great deal or a bit of a scam? Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'm going to help you today to show you how you can be aware of it, and you'll be able to even fight it a little bit. So that's one of the bonuses of today, is once you see it out in the wild, it'll be pretty powerful. So what have we got next? A little bit about me. I haven't really told you anything about me. So look, I did a Bachelor of Journalism back in the 90s. I am actually, I was born in Ukraine, and we came here as refugees. And up there with the little round circle in the corner there, that's me in my very first news article. And I guess I caught the bug. Now, obviously I've done a lot of TV and radio and all sorts of things, but I'm just giving you the stuff that's printed because it's easy to put in slides. So I've got 30 years of PR communications. And I have, without knowing it a lot of the time, I have used these tools to get myself in the press and also get other people in the press. So here are some of my clients that I've worked for. And these are stories that I have put in the press. So I've worked for the Blood Bank, I've worked for the Clean Energy Council, I've worked for Bendigo Bank, I've worked for State Government of Victoria, I worked for State Government of Queensland, I have worked for corporate engineering consultancies, and also lots and lots of nonprofits, including the Queensland Community Alliance, such as this, which is fighting for parking at hospitals. So I have used these tools of influence and persuasion to, help improve our environment, help improve the health of people. You can use this for good as well. And so the most recent part of my background is, in fact, lots and lots of training. And I made that t-shirt. So what is the point of showing you all of these media clips of me? And it's to start with our first dimension, which is, what is authority? I'm just going to move my papers here. So authority is the first of the 7 dimensions, and it's probably one of the easiest to understand. Authority is expert. That is another word for it. So when you're trying to, well, when you look around, think about ads you've seen, or if you have Instagram or TikTok or any sort of social media. Authority is when you have an expert talk about the product. Now, the expert can be someone who is a qualified expert. I showed you all of those media stories of myself to show you my qualifications, my credentials. I am qualified to give you this presentation. You should trust me and believe me because I have authority in this space. But it doesn't have to be someone with credentials, but it can be. I think you saw there was a picture there of lifesavers. Uniforms are authority experts, policemen, teachers, doctors, dentists. There was a lot of ads about using a dentist to sell Oral-B for a long time on Australian TV. But it can also be, now we've moved into the influencers, like Kim Kardashian is not an expert, although she's studying to be a lawyer. She's not really an expert in anything originally. She has gained authority, and obviously, you know, it's secular. The more we give them attention, the more authority they get. So professors, chairmen, founders, CEOs, chairman of the RBA Bank has been in the news quite a lot. People in uniforms, people who have religious positions. All of these people are authorities. But what's really interesting now, say compared to 30 years ago, is that we do consider authority and experts not necessarily actually objective experts that have qualifications. So when I talk to you about my keto, appreciation is something that I'm interested in, there's several people that I follow that are just regular people who have, through trial and error, they're a few steps ahead of me, and so they become an authority in this because they've been doing it longer or better than me. So the first dimension is authority. Now, here are some examples of authority. You've got Dr. Fauci, who we know from the COVID, he's a proper doctor. Now, Donald Trump keeps telling us that he's got degrees from a really good Wharton Institute. Then we've got Kim, and of course, Gwyneth Paltrow, who has Goop and is an actress. So she also has a lot of authority, even though she hasn't got any qualifications in the wellness space. So share their activity is, share in the chat box people who you would consider experts. And if it's not clear, you know, if we don't know why, you have to tell us why. So if you just take a moment to share people that you know have authority or you think have authority. I'm going to take a look. Missing out, FOMO. I'm just reading text messages. Anyone else want to put in a figure of authority? We will be doing missing out. Obama, 100%. I had him too, but I thought too many politicians. Anyone think of an expert or authority? Sports people, Prime Minister, definitely. People you would trust. Sometimes fitness experts. I think about people who do reality TV. Prime Minister, Messi in sports, 100% Messi. New king. Yes. Very good. Oh, I love this. Oh, Ronaldo. Oh my. Yes. Apparently he's very tiny when standing next to basketballers. I watched a podcast about that the other day. Oh, these are fantastic. Okie dokie. I'm going to keep going. So that is authority. I think that's pretty clear. That's an easy one. Some of them get a little bit messy, but not messy like, not like messy. Okay. So what do we got next? Oh, what is reciprocity? This one's another easy one. Reciprocity is if you get something for free, you feel you owe someone. It's basically doing a favor. Now, why does it, as you can imagine, we go back to authority, it bypasses your logic. If you see someone in a position of authority, like the Prime Minister, you know, like a policeman, like a sports star, it bypasses your logic and maybe you trust what they say, which is why people use them to sell sports brands like Air. I just watched that movie about the Air Jordans. Reciprocity is if you get something, you feel that you owe something. And if you just take a moment to think about how your community works, I mean, that is how That is how families work. That is how community works. We bring meals to each other. We babysit each other's children. We check if the stove is not, have you left the stove on? Can you check? Can I borrow your car? Of course you can. How does this work in the marketing space? Very, very simply. The most obvious one is, if you want this free ebook, you must give me your email. It's that simple. You can see it all the time. What I love about reciprocity, or, doing favors, scratch your back, scratch my back, is you do someone a favor, you also feel like you owe them. Weirdly, that's how the psychology works. And it makes sense, because when we lived in tribes or in villages or in communities, we were farming or whatever we were doing, we had to keep helping each other out because we couldn't survive on our own. There was no, it's a medieval Uber Eats. That was just basically, we had to grow it all and help each other. So even if you do someone a favor and they feel they owe you, if someone does something for you, even if you didn't ask for it or didn't want it, you still feel like you owe them. So, they say if you save someone's life, you feel like you owe them, not just that they owe you. That's like one of those sort of things that sometimes happens in movies. They use that trope. And the sort of observation that Dr. Cialdini did always sticks with me is he watched Hare Krishna monks in the airport give flowers and stickers to people who didn't ask for it. I think we've all seen this. I remember this growing up, that I'd go to the city and there'd be Hare Krishna monks giving out stickers. Nobody asked for these stickers, but you feel kind of like you owe them, so you might stop and listen, or you might give them some money. So it's a really, really powerful tool that goes beyond the logic and straight into your subconscious. So examples of, and reciprocity is important because it is community sustaining. So it's not just multi-level marketing where they give you a free set of, tights or cosmetics or something, and then you feel that you have to buy the whole kit. It's also, I guess, if you could have free classes, or if you belong to a religion, free sort of religious festivals that are public festivals, or these are things that make you feel good about something. Like if you don't know a culture and they're having a religious event, a public event, and you go in there and there's food and there's dancing and it's really uplifting, you feel good towards them. So that is that sense of reciprocity. Free samples, back to that keto example, if I use their whatever hashtag or whatever, I could get a free sample of this electrolyte product that I don't need, and then I might feel that I need to keep buying it because I've already got it. And multi-level marketing does it very well. The other part of reciprocity is this idea of exclusivity, feeling special. So not just here's your ebook and, thanks for your email, but also you can get an upgrade, become a member of our Qantas Club. And if you have enough points, you can get an upgrade. So there's also that up service and feeling special and VIP. So that is part of the reciprocity as well. You can personalize these things. If you're working in that marketing space, you can look at your database and you can segment it, and you can personalize these offers, tailor these offers to the person to make them feel special. So we've got authority, where we trust someone in a position of power or knowledge, and then gift giving, right? So here is our activity. Share in the chat box or raise your hand if you can think of an example of reciprocity in your life. So when you think of all the marketing, Oprah, yes, Anna, very good. I agree. You get a car, you get a car. Oprah is authority and reciprocity. Yes. Can anyone think of an example of a website or a product you use, something that you got for free and now you're using it, or a gym you go to? You can raise your hand. Yep. Okay. You don't have to participate. You can also write it down. What have we got? Clients get 20% off. Yes. Free day at the gym. Sign-ups. Very good. You guys are onto it. You guys are really onto it. I can't see any of you, but I think I can feel your like strategic brains through the screen. This is excellent. Very exciting. All right, let's go back. So we've got 2. Now we have got, what do we got next? Oh, what's next? Commitment, consistency. This is where it gets a little bit less obvious. So commitment and consistency. This is the idea that you will automatically keep going once you have made a move. So what that means is, and I'm going to have to speed up. It's already 10 o'clock, but maybe we'll go over because we started 5 minutes late. So, and this is why the man is keep digging. You know that saying, once you've started digging a hole, keep digging. That is the process of commitment and consistency. And that is why it is automatic rather than logical. Once you take a step in a particular direction, you will keep going in that direction. It's actually harder to swerve than it is to keep going. And that is just one of those psychological things. And I guess it makes sense, because if you had to make a decision or make a choice every single time you made a choice, like if you had to just keep going, should I keep eating this? Should I keep eating this? Should I keep eating this? It seems weird, right? It's like, oh, well, here's my dinner. I'll just eat it. And then afterwards, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have eaten all of that dinner, right? I mean, that's a pretty weird suggestion, but that is the point. You can't constantly stop and consider. So once you take one step, the pattern is you keep going. So how is this used in marketing? One of them is where you live, the real estate. Once you decide you live in a suburb, you're like, I really like the suburb. I don't want to move. I'm not moving. I like it here. Even if it's not maybe the closest to work or the closest to school or the best suburb. Again, gyms and diets is a really good one. You pay it now, so it works 2 ways. If you make it a habit, then you keep going. It becomes a habit. But if you're paying a subscription to a gym and you don't go, that can also be a habit. You're like, oh, I'll cancel it, but I might go. I'll cancel it, but I might go. The same with TV subscriptions, streaming subscriptions. Webinars. Webinars is a great one. So you see an ad, you click to join a webinar, and if you go to the webinar, then they'll say, give me $1 to get this amazing ebook about the webinar you've just seen. And you go, oh, well, I'll give you $1. And then you give them $1. And then they're like, well, give me $50 for this other thing. You're like, well, I guess I'll give you $50. And then it's like, well, how about $9.97 for this 6-month program? You're like, oh, well, I've already given you $1 and I've already given you $50. So fine. Now, obviously, people fall out of the funnel at this point, but lots of people do keep going, commitment and consistency, because people who are consistent are considered good people. If you make a decision and stick to a decision, that's a good person. You don't want to be wishy-washy. So while some people might go, I don't know about this, a lot of people will not use their critical mind and just keep going, because that is a human pattern. So that is really important in marketing. Oh, here's a good one. Kids banking. So when I was a kid, I don't know if they do that now, they used to have the Dolomite account at the Commonwealth Bank, and they'd come into your schools and try and get the kids signed up to a bank, because they knew that if you got them signed up early, then they would keep going. Also sports teams, becoming a fan of a sports team. You're a fan of this sports team, you're a fan. Even if you move to another city, you're not changing your code and you're not changing your team. So in some ways, commitment and consistency is the opposite of willpower. It's a shortcut for making choices. I'm just checking to make sure I haven't missed anything in my notes. Right. So how would you use this in marketing? If you had an audience that you were trying to commit to something, you would try and make them make a commitment or make a stand in an offer, like I discussed in the webinar, where they commit to something, joining the webinar, downloading the ebook, taking an action. And then what you want to do is tie them to that commitment by showcasing that choice to the public. Join the Facebook group, join our community, and tell people how you did. And then you want them to put in effort into the results, so they perceive there is a value out of that. That's why sometimes these webinars are 3 hours long. That's why they make you do worksheets. If you put effort in, you'll be consistent with that commitment. It's not as clear-cut as the reciprocity and the authority, but it's here's an example, HelloFresh, all those meal kits. They send it to you. Then you have to make it yourself. And then you take a picture and put it on Instagram, and maybe you get another discount. That is commitment and consistency. Okay. So let's share in the chat box or raise your hand if you can think of an example of something like a subscription or a membership or a charity or even volunteering or something corporate where you've made a commitment and you've kept going regardless of, because you've made that commitment. Free samples at the supermarket, sign-ups, free day at the gym. Anyone can think of something where they've made a commitment and then they've kept going, good or bad. Paid for something, joined something. My Audible is something that I find very hard to get out of. All right, we're going to keep going. Oh, vitamins program. Here we go. Volunteering half a day a week. Yes, Netflix, most definitely. That's it. So this is like you'll get the handout at the end, but my point is that you're noticing all these things in your life, and now that I've shown it to you, you will notice it more, and you'll be able to understand how you can use it and how it's using you. I think that's a good one. How you can use it and how it's using you. Okay, similarity, which we now call social proof. This one is a little bit easier, I think, than the consistency to understand, and it's basically we trust people, and it's slightly different to authority because authority is more that expert. This is more like we trust people that are like ourselves. So this is very straightforward. Testimonials, reviews, all of that is social proof. You go to wherever you go to, tourism, I forgot what it's called, but that tourism online thing where it's all the tourism, whenever you look for a place to go, and it'll have, or I use bookings. I have for a family. We're a family. We really enjoyed it. The pool was warm. The room was clean. Oh, I'm a family. They're a family. That sounds good. We're a family. We're driving it. So it's kind of like testimonials and reviews. Critical. And in fact, if you're making a website or if you're looking at websites, anything like that, you have to put as many testimonials and reviews and things as you can. Amazon is the perfect example. So it's about trust and that we trust ourselves, hopefully, and we trust people like us. So we trust recommendations for friends, which is MLM marketing, right? Basically, get your friends in a room. I love this product. Why don't you buy this product from me? That is similarity and social proof. I was making sure I'm checking my notes. Yeah. So it's all about, if we're going back to Cialdini's principles of how is this hardwired into us, it makes sense that we would make choices. Before we had the internet and Google and ChatGPT, we made choices based on the people around us and what they said was safe. Don't eat that plant, it's poisonous. Right, thanks, I trust you. Over the hill, you're going to fall into a ditch. Right. So it made sense that we would be hardwired to trust people like us because the world was a dangerous place. And so that is how we use that and how it's used in marketing to create that sense of the people around us, we can trust them. All right. So if you can think of a product, if you can share in the chat box, and if you can think of a product that has testimonials or reviews. Google reviews, spa membership, gym membership, something you can't give up. Google reviews, absolutely. And in fact, businesses have lost money because of Google reviews. Yes, product reviews. Right? So that is one of these dimensions. So you can see now how all of these dimensions cover like every aspect of the marketing and sales in any kind of way. And it's also about nonprofits and charities and religions, so some religions have, been in the news, or some groups have been in the news, and these are bad reviews. I mean, I'm sort of taking it, to the next level, but that's it. You want good reviews and you want good testimonials. You want good reputations. All right, let's keep going. So we've got, right, what is next? Consensus. Consensus is another one of those less clear ones. And it's basically that it's different from the social proof, which is you're getting a review or a testimonial from someone like you on your level. Consensus is basically doing something that not authority, but people that are better than you do. We're more likely to comply with requests made by people we like. So this could mean your closest friends, like an MLM, but often it's more about when we use, say, sports to endorse things. Now that does fall under authority, so that's what I mean. It's a bit. They sort of overlap a little bit, but I'm just looking at my notes to make sure. But there are some specific principles of consensus that is slightly different. So we are more likely to trust someone who is good looking. So when you look at ads and things and things like that, they genuinely look at, they use better looking. They either look people that look like us, use people that look like us, or they use people that are very attractive, younger, funner, freer. I was looking for examples for this, and I went to Coca-Cola, and there was many examples of where Coke was doing ads in different languages, where you had a couple of cool young people telling each other to drink Coke. And what I noticed, regardless of the culture, everyone was very good looking. So good looking. Also people who are similar to us or have similar interests or opinions, personality or background. That works in sort of like, say, politics, say you're right wing or you're left wing. So you might follow what they do or agree with their idea because you like their overall way of how they think it relates to you. You can agree with that. Compliments. So weirdly, under the consensus is compliments. We love to receive praise, and we like the people who give it to us. Wow, you're doing so well. This is amazing. Keep going with this program. You can do it. All of these sorts of emails that you get about that encourage you to keep going with a program that you would normally ditch is part of that. Well, I've made the decision. I'll keep going with the decision. And now I'm getting praise. And also there's this very good looking person saying that I should do it. I guess I'll keep going. Oh, and then they've sent me this free extra booklet and maybe another packet of the food. And now there's a doctor talking about it. There's authority, reciprocity, all of that done. And then again, back to that conditioning and association. We like to look at models, and we like to look at beautiful things. So that's consensus. And I'm going to move on straight away to one that's a lot easier. And someone mentioned, I think Anna mentioned FOMO before. This is it. Scarcity, FOMO. That's it, right? We are hardwired to want rare things. And if we're back in the tribal wilderness, there was no salt. Salt was hard to get. Fruit was hard to get. Alcohol was hard to get. Rare things. Sugar was hard to get. Why are we so addicted to sugar? Because when we were all living back in the paleo era, sugar was incredibly hard to get. We want what we can't have. We want what the other person has if we can't get it. So easy to use scarcity. Scarcity is everywhere. 24-hour sale, last chance, join the VIP club for special offers. So scarcity is about price and about quantity and about time. Our shopping cart is only open for this long to get this deal. You only have this many more hours to go. Scarcity and FOMO. Now, when you're using these dimensions in your work, you don't need to use all of them, but you need to use some of them, like an ingredients list. And scarcity and authority is an easy one, for instance. Trust this person. Here's a review. You're going to miss out. Hurry up. So scarcity is, limited number, deadline. And people feel instinctively that if they get something rare, it's better than everything else. So I'm sure we can all recognize that. I'm going to look at the time. If you want to, 10:15. I'm going to skip this and we're going to keep going to the final one, which is unity. And this is a picture of community, a show that I like. Unity is the latest principle. And this principle is as a response to social media and things like that. And unity is a bond formed in shared identity. And it's a new principle. And we all know this. We've all seen this, like communities, like back to the things that I'm interested in. So there's like fitness communities, but then there's fat acceptance communities. There's different ethnic communities. There's all, you know, older and younger, people who love to draw and paint, people who love electric cars, you know, people who love to camp. All of these are communities. Now, I personally say the flip side of unity is individuality. I think we also want to be very much acknowledged as special and individual, which is sort of the flip side of unity. We want to belong to our group and do what our group does, but we also want to be seen as an individual, which is why so many emails go, hey, Irena, hi, nice to see you, Irena. And that is why the algorithm on all of these things is really about my desires and my likes and, you know, what I want. And then it feeds me things like the things I already like. So that is the principle of unity. And it creates this sense of a bond. And there's people like us are inside the community. We like these things. We do these things. We wear these things. And then there's the other people and they do the opposite. Teenagers have various communities or unity. That's very obvious. So you can use that by being very clear with your audience and what community they are part of, to use the correct language, sometimes the correct colors, make sure you use the right jargon, the words that they use. So you don't want to, you know, if it's a young group, you don't use older people's language and vice versa. You know, there's a lot of ways you can use that. Okay, so these are the 7. I'm going to go past this because of the time. These are the 7 dimensions of influence, and we're going to go over them again. So we started with authority, a desire to follow an expert. Now, again, reminder, these are automatic, instinctive desires. These are not logical. Similarity, a tendency to like people like us, similar others. Reciprocity is about doing favors, giving back. Scarcity, the FOMO, we want things that are rare. Consistency, we have an instinctive desire to continue something we've already said yes to. And a consent is to follow the lead of people like us or people that we admire that are similar to us. And finally, unity. And unity is the bond formed by a shared identity, which is so powerful now. So I have got examples, but I just want to check in. First of all, I want to give you the handout. And I wonder if I can add that. How do I'm not sure how to add the handout to the chat. Does Rushmi, do you know how I can attach the handout?
You can share in the like chat box your handouts.
Can I share? How do I add it? Can I just upload it? Oh, I see.
Yes, you can. Like normally I do upload. Yeah.
And I can't. It's not. I can't see how I can do that. It's giving me options to type, but it doesn't give me an option to upload anything.
Okay,
only a
normally
link.
I do upload my information or link there.
Can I email
like,
it to
you? Have the link to share? Can you share your link?
No, I have
I
have a link for the survey for people's. This is the link to. If people are willing to tell me how I went, I need at least 8 people to fill that in. But in terms of the handout, question, a great marketing strategy must include all 7 dimensions. No, not at all. Not at all. I have examples now. If people are willing to stay on for 5 minutes, I will show you examples of how it works in real life. But I also want to share the handout. Can I, after this meeting, email the handout to Adam and he can distribute it to whoever was on the meeting?
Irene,
I think
from Sydney.
that, yeah.
So just can you just drag your file to the typing area and check if
Oh,
it's uploading?
oh, I can do that. Sure.
Yeah.
No,
No, not allowing.
no, no, it's a PDF. No. So look, it's just a summary of the things which I can email. It's not like super important. What is important is I'd love people to fill in the form. And if they've got 5 minutes, I can go through the different examples. Should I just keep going for another 5 minutes? Because we started 5 minutes late anyway. And people can leave if they have to leave. Yes, yes. All right, I'm just going to keep going. Because it's super fun, right? All right, here we go. All right, we're not going to worry about this. All right, so I needed to get a cable for my phone, a charging cable. I went to Officeworks. Here are all the charging cables. How am I supposed to choose a charging cable? Now, one way is on price. Obviously, what's the cheapest? Obviously, it's got to have the right connectors. But really, once you get down to it, they're all kind of around the $25 to $30 mark, somewhere between $24 and $30. And they would all do the job. So how the hell am I meant to know which charger to choose? But wait, over here is this environment charger, RPU Planet, and this other one with this B Corp business on it, which I know is about good businesses. And then you've got RPU Planet, which is promising me this all amazing environmental stuff. Huh. And it's also not much more expensive than the rest. So let's choose that one. And I did. And amazingly, not only was the charging cord in there, but also these two little cards that invited me to join their global community. So let's just have a look at this packaging. So what is it telling me? It is telling me that if I am someone who loves, and I'm gonna switch out now. I'm just gonna go back to being my own self. So if I am someone who loves the environment, cares about the environment, then I should be buying this thing. And out of it comes this, like, where's the camera? This card, right? I couldn't believe it. Here's an environmental company asking me to join their community. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Blah, blah, blah. They've put extra paper covered in plastic into the box. There's extra stuff that they made with new materials talking about the environment. You know, inks, there's nothing to say the inks are good. I went to their website. Their website, no offense, their website is nonsense. And I mean, it basically sells plastic products, and then they're promising that they're going to take out plastic products out of the environment. They're making plastic products. Their cord is exactly the same as any other cord and works exactly the same. But what they've said is there is people like us, you know, people who care about the environment. Oh, yes, there's a picture of a tortoise on this. So, you know, I'm giving back, reciprocity, right? Then, of course, there's scarcity because the environment is, it's on the way out. All of these stickers about eco, certified, carbon neutral. I'm doing a good thing. I feel good about myself. So you've got consensus and commitment because I always choose the environmental product. You know, there's nothing on here about authority, but, you know, really, if they had a picture of, I don't know, Charlize Theron on it, then that would work. So it doesn't hit all 7, but it hits a lot. And the thing that really was amazing was this little card, this extra unnecessary bit of plastic that just screamed community to me, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this video. This is a video of the Cancer Council. The Cancer Council, and you've got now, think consistency, consensus, authority, similarity, reciprocity, and scarcity. I'm going to play this ad. Hopefully it will play. And you guys have to think about, as you're watching it, what can you see in it, right? Now, I'm going to play it now. It's only 30 seconds. Hopefully it will play.
Sorry, Rena, we cannot listen.
It does. You can't see it.
We can see it, but we cannot listen. I think when you
We-
share your screen, you need to include your computer sound that is at bottom when
Oh.
you share.
Well, then I will summarize it for you because you could see it. So what you had is people happy, right? And that's the consensus. You had some really good looking models. Again, that's the consensus. You had this discussion around how we're helping our family and neighbors. And that is that similarity. People like us do things like this. Then we talked about, there's that, it was interesting because they talked about how everybody has been affected by cancer in some way, which is sort of the opposite of scarcity, but there's definitely a lot of reciprocity, right? Do something for someone else, share a morning tea. So it had all of those elements. Now, one of the things I did was I actually watched ads in different languages that I mentioned, and you can see it without understanding the words. So I do have one more ad, but I don't know if we have time for that, but I will say unity as well. Absolutely, 100%. There's unity. Cannot hear anything. And let's see if we cannot hear. Can I share one more ad? I will try or I can, let me share the one more ad and then we're done. So how do Rushni, can you tell me how I make it so that you can share the volume or? So you can't hear that.
Rena, in Teams, when you share your screen, there is a button,
Yep.
and you need to turn it on, include computer sound.
Right. So when I go share.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that one.
And then
include
I go
computer sound.
It doesn't give me that option.
So you need to
share tab audio. It doesn't give me that option. But it is, I will just talk you through it then without the sound, and I will be your sound. How's that? Ready? Okay. So this guy is watching some terrible things about the environment and is very sad. Scarcity. Then his much better looking friend starts telling him if he uses this bank, that this bank is helping the environment. Here we got pictures of the environment. So we've got feeling good. So we've got consensus and consistency, because once you start participating with a bank, you are not leaving them. He is much better looking. Banking, you can feel good about, right? Banking, you can feel good about. And, I'm just going to see if I can get out of this. Yeah. So that was just like a really super quick ad. And I'm like, why is this working on me? And that is because they showed two friends. They had the unity around the environment again. That seems to be a really big one. And so they used, I had it written down actually, they used consensus, reciprocity, similarity, consistency, scarcity, and unity. Now, obviously, like it doesn't fit exactly, but you can sort of see it. So I know I sort of rushed at the end there, but and I will send the handout, but what I'd like to leave you with is two things. Firstly, please, 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 I ask you, if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please fill out my form. I really need this for my course. Thank you. And the other thing is I invite you to look around and be critical advertising you see. Websites, ads on TV, in the movies, print it, look for it, like even packaging, look around and see where you could see testimonials, FOMO, authority, stars and influencers. Look for like places where they're asking you to make a commitment and then either share your commitment or keep going. Look around. And if you do that for the next week or so, you will then be able to incorporate that in your work. And you should definitely read the book if you have time. And that is where I want to leave it, and see if there's any questions. Last chance. Any questions? In anything, ask me anything. I've been doing this for 30 years. What would you want to ask me? Will you share the link with Adam? Yes. I will share the link with Adam. You don't need to include the 7, but you need to, it's actually really useful if you, you know, like I often have this, like when I'm putting something together, you just have it, just so you kind of use it as a checklist. You go, have I got this? Have I got this? Have I thought about this? It helps you look at your audience a little bit. Any questions you have about marketing or comms or PR, now's your chance. Do not be shy, because if you're shy, you're going to struggle in this industry. Even if you're shy in your real life, you're going to have to be jazz hands everywhere else. No? How about this? Hands up if this is something useful and you think that you can use. How about a hands up? Oh, that's good. Thank you. That is a lot of reciprocity for me. I feel really, thank you so much. Oh, that's great. Are you send your testimonials about the product or service? Any other book that relates to the subject? Oh, good. Oh, you've all been listening. That's good. Yes. This has helped me a lot, like just to kind of clarify it. And you go, obviously it's there, but I just haven't realized it. Any other book? Any other book? Look, I have to say that I really enjoyed Launch by Jeff Walker. He does a really good job of using this as well. But honestly, I think I find just summaries on the internet much more useful than books. A lot of books are just kind of, The Chimp Paradox is a psychology book that I really enjoyed. I would suggest podcasts, The New Gurus by Helen Lewis. Podcasts are fantastic for this sort of stuff. Seth Godin does great books, but also a fantastic podcast as well. Akimbo, who does 20 minutes on a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure I understand your question, Adriana. I don't understand the question. Sending your testimonials. When you say sending, what is it that you mean? You can unmute yourself and just say it, or you can type it. For small businesses sometimes struggle to succeed. Which of these dimensions can be better used to develop a marketing strategy when you use a new product? Okay, all right. So I'll answer these 2, and then if there's one more, you can write it while I'm answering, and then we're done. So for small businesses sometimes struggle to succeed, which of these dimensions can be better used to develop a marketing strategy? That is a really good question. So, and I will repeat the podcast name at the end. So for small businesses now, and I do a lot of training. So I work as a mentor for the Mentoring for Growth program for the state government of Queensland. There is a mentoring program in Victoria, but I'm in Queensland, so I do it in Queensland. And I have 45-minute sessions with small businesses. So what is the best for a small business? The best thing that you can do as a small business is to understand your customer. If you're struggling, it is because you haven't connected your product or service with your customer enough. It doesn't mean you haven't done it. It just means enough. Part of that, I will say, is resources. So if you look at successful small businesses, they are successful because they either have a lot of money for marketing or have been around for a lot of time. In my experience, someone who starts off, I don't know, making jewelry or whatever, being a personal trainer or whatever it is they do, maybe being a music teacher, it takes 7 to 8 years, or an influencer, to get to that point of successful. So if you don't have a lot of money for marketing, whatever that marketing is, it's going to take you a long time. And it's the more money you have, the less time it takes. So what dimensions do you use for a marketing strategy for a small business? All of them. Having a marketing strategy is critical. Understanding who your customer is, being really clear on who is your avatar, like what do they like, what do they read, where do they go? I mean, that's a whole nother session about understanding how to market as a small business. But the reason that you're struggling is you don't understand your customer enough that they're buying enough from you, so you earn enough money to do more ads and more Facebook and more promotions. And then you need to target them with email. I still believe that email is a fantastic way of getting to people. So if you had your ebook or resource that you could give them for free, whatever that is, or your free something, that they get your email, then you can start talking to them. And when you're talking to them, you are using these dimensions in every email. Not all 7, but you will hit 1 or 2 in every one. So every 3rd or 4th email, you might be talking about, here's a scarcity deal, 20% off, or invite a friend. But every other email, you'll be saying, here's a testimonial about what people enjoyed, or here's a review, or here's an example, or here's a video of, let's say I do art classes, here's a video of Jenny at my art class and how much she enjoyed it. And then next week it might be Jenny gives a testimonial. And then next week it's like, well, bring someone for free. And then it may be, so it's the lack of success isn't about not marketing correctly. That's part of it. But most of it, the success is hasn't been enough time, and you're not connecting to your audience in the exact right way, because people want to spend money. And it also depends on your business as well. So I hope, Anna, that answers your question. When you use a new product, do you send out testimonials about the product or service? Well, if you have a new product, then you have to get testimonials. So what that means is initially you say, here is a discount, or here is a freebie, please give me your response. So for instance, right now, my product to you is this talk. Please give me your response in this Google form if you haven't already, right? Here's the reciprocity. So when you have something new, you don't have testimonials, obviously. You don't have reviews. So you need to actively go out there and ask for reviews and testimonials. And then you will have them, and then you can send them, and then it's self-perpetuating. I use a lot of YouTube, and what you can see is you can see new creators and how they grow. And there's a guy called Andrew Gold, and I think he does On the Edge. He does these really funny, not funny like haha, but a bit unusual podcasts talking to ex-Scientologists and ex-cultists. So it's a bit kind of like, ooh, what weirdos, so you're sort of like, ooh, what's happening over there? That's weird. So that's his British, On the Edge with Andrew Gold. And he actually talks about how he's grown his audience. And he talks about how crazy it is that he started with 1, 2, 3, and then he had 10,000. But actually the first 10,000 are the hardest, and then that grows exponentially, because then you have the reviews and you have the comments and you have all that stuff. Can you please repeat the podcast names? Yes. Helen Joyce, The New Gurus. Sorry, not Helen Joyce, my apologies. Helen Lewis, like Jerry Lewis. Helen Lewis is a BBC reporter and an Atlantic writer. The New Gurus. I will write it in here. That's one. Also Akimbo. Seth Godin is a good one. I would go to podcasts. I'd also say from the psychology, I would say the Paradox is a good one for understanding automated psychology. Jeff Walker Launch is a good one. But honestly, you can get them on the library. You can get audiobooks, you can get summaries, you can get online marketing places that will summarize the books for you. You can look for honestly, one of my favorite books of all time is about 100 years old, and it's by Napoleon Hill, and I forgot what it's called, but it's his most favorite book. And I mean, some of it's a bit weird, but his idea was join a masterclass, join a group of people that can lift you up, and how to be successful. Oh, thank you, Anna. Oh, thank you so much. So look, the thing is, do your best not to overwhelm yourself. There is a lot of knowledge. That is why I love to go to the source. That's why I love this book, because it's 30, 40 years old. It's a source. A lot of books come from this book. just find something that you like and works for you, because there's lots of systems and schemas and ways of doing things, and some are fancy and some are not fancy. There's a lot of automated stuff. Find a thing that works for you that you enjoy using and just try it out for a while. Get really good at it before you look for the next thing or the next thing or the next thing. You know, you've got your whole career to get really amazing at something, and you can try it this way and then try it this way and then try it that way. You're welcome. You're welcome, Ernesto. Thank you, Lady. Thank you, Laura.